This episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're going to dive in and look, especially at the recent history, of ranking the North Carolina Tar Heels men's basketball coaches. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up, folks. Before we get into today's content, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It doesn't cost anything. Hit that bell notification, be notified of future content like this. Pound that like button and leave me some comments, folks. I appreciate the positive vibes and comments. All right, folks, kind of looking back and started looking into some of the history that Roy Williams has just announced, a month or so ago that he's retiring, and Hubert Davis, former player who's been on the bench, working with Roy Williams, has been named as the head coach. Seeing where he's going to go in early recruiting. He looks like he's doing very well in his recruiting process. And then, of course, Mike Krzyzewski decided this is going to be his last year and then he's going to step down. So it made me think, I've always had controversy in ranking the Tar Heel basketball coaches. Well, we really got five because Hubert Davis hasn't coached yet, so we're going to look at these five. But I want to even go back further than that. I got a couple of honorable mentions, and I say honorable mentions, we're going way back because they kind of helped pave the way, folks. We've got a guy by the name of Norman Bo Shepherd. He's an honorable mention. He only coached 1 year, 1923 to 1924. But, folks, he's the only NCAA basketball coach, Division I, to go undefeated and finish his first year as being an undefeated coach. 26-0 in 1924. And the Tar Heels won the Helms Athletic National Championship. You didn't have a NCAA tournament at that time, a Final Four, not until 1939. So this is 1924. And, this guy goes 26-0 and just kind of left. Now, one of the key players he had was a guy by the name of Cartwright Carmichael Auditorium, where until the early mid-'80s, the Dean Dome was built. That's where they played their basketball games. But Cartwright Carmichael played for Bo Shepherd. He was the first All-American of any sport for UNC Chapel Hill. So he had 1,000% winning percentage from being 26-0. He left on a high note, I guess you could say. Then we get Ben Carnevale. 1944 to 1946. Why is he significant? 52-11. That's going to be kind of hard to duplicate 26-0. But 52-11 ain't nothing to sneeze at, folks. That's a .825 winning percentage. The reason why we bring him up is because he lost the NCAA championship. UNC lost to Oklahoma A&M, which is now Oklahoma State. Henry Ibel was the great coach for Oklahoma A&M, which is now Oklahoma State. And this game took place like I said, I guess about 46 in that period of time. So the great Oklahoma State A&M teams that had then, and early on you had some other schools that you might not know of today, like Loyola, Chicago, and just some really good teams. And Oregon State was a really good team back in the late 30s and early 40s as we started the NCAA tournament. Now we get to our five, the five that we know from the modern era. And we'll go ahead and start down number 5, folks. Matt Doherty. Matt Doherty had an overall record at Carolina of 53-43, and his record was just not acceptable, folks. 2000 to 2003 career. He was the APA Coach of the Year in 2001 when he left Notre Dame and came to Carolina. He was the ACC regular season champion in 2001. He did some really good recruiting of guys like Sean May. I'm trying to think of some of the other players he had. It might have been, I'm trying to think who Sean May was with. It might have been Ray Felton. But just had some really good talent he brought into Chapel Hill. Unfortunately, a lot of these players could not get along with him. They said his coaching style, they could not deal with it. Then he had a season where he won about 8 games with a very, very talented team. And even Dean Smith had stepped in to watch some of his practices. So he was let go, and he was a former player. He won a championship with Carolina in '82. But Matt Doherty has to go down probably number 5 when you look at the 5 modern era head coaches in Tar Heel basketball history as the worst. Number 4 was a really good coach. And this is one reason why Dean Smith stepped down, to give Bill Guthrie a chance, Coach Gut. and he coached the Tar Heels from 1997 to 2000. Guthrie was that UNC man. He wasn't going anywhere. And Dean Smith felt like this guy deserved a chance to be a head coach. And I believe Dean had a few more years left in him, but he wanted to see Guthrie take the job and win. Now, at this time, they had really been contacting Roy Williams, and Roy Williams didn't want to leave Kansas. So Guthrie comes in, goes 80-28 for a .741 winning percentage. He was a 1998 AP Coach of the Year. 1998 to 2000, he took the Tar Heels to the Final Four. 2008, the ACC tournament champions. And I remember, a couple of those years, man, he really, I say 2008 ACC champions. It wasn't 2008. I apologize for that, tournament champions. But this is a guy that really got the Heels, got the best out of them. And in the late 90s, like 1998, had the number one team in the country, had them going to the Final Four, and they couldn't get it, they couldn't win. They couldn't win it. Then we get to number 3, and this is where we start slicing the bacon up. It gets tough. Frank McGuire. And Frank McGuire, we've talked to him on this channel before, being the head coach of South Carolina. Now, he had his New York connections. He comes down, and he coached the Tar Heels from 1952 to 1961. Hired a young man from Kansas who played ball there, was assistant coach on the Kansas team. I believe that the Tar Heels beat in the championship under McGuire in 57 by the name of Dean Smith. But he had a 164-58 record. He had a .739 winning percentage. But the thing about it, Frank McGuire, that was big, 1957 champions. I knew they were playing Wilt Chamberlain Campbell, who was heavily favored, and they took them to triple overtime. They practiced all week shooting shots where guys were holding up broomsticks because of how tall Wilt was. And this kind of helped them prepared when they were shooting against him. But Wilt Chamberlain's great shot blocking skills. But he did win a total of 6 ACC regular season champions in 56, 57, which they won it all, 59, 60, 61. So when you have 56 to 61, folks, you're talking about only the 58 season that the Tar Heels did not win in that period of 6 years, did not win, or 7 years, did not win the regular season of the ACC. And he only had the one ACC tournament, which was 1957, that they won. And remember, back at this time, if you didn't win your tournament, you didn't go to the big dance. So Frank McGuire, if today's rules would have been around, chances are he might have made a couple more Final Fours. It might have actually went down. So we just don't know that. But to only be able to win one ACC championship in 57, he goes on and wins it all. Very notable, very big. He was the AP Coach of the Year in 1957. He was the ACC Coach of the Year in 1957. And like I said, we remember him. He went on he coached in the NBA for Philadelphia Warriors, which is now the Golden State Warriors. Then went on, come back to be South Carolina's head coach to win them their only ACC tournament and their only ACC regular season championship, I believe, were under Frank McGuire. And he was key in getting South Carolina to the ACC because he had some allegations and things, and that's one reason why the UNC moved away from Frank McGuire, because of some of these player scandals. And he had to step down, and that's when Dean Smith was promoted. So Frank McGuire is number 3 on this list of Tar Heel great coaches. Number 2 is Roy Williams. Now, some people want to put him at number 1. Now, you got to look at Roy Williams. From 2003 to 2021, he had a .748 winning percentage. 485 wins at Carolina, 163 losses. Let's don't forget, he won a lot of games at Kansas, got Kansas to the Final Four a lot. NCAA champs in 2005, 2009, 2017. Hey, Final Four, 2005, 2008, where they lost they lost to Kansas before the championship game. 2009, they come back and win it all. 2016, lost that heartbreaking shot to Villanova in the championship. 2017, to win it all. 3 ACC tournament championships. 2007, 2008, 2016. They won 9 ACC regular season champions. 2005, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 16, 17, and finally he got his last one in 2019. But Roy Williams was a hell of a coach. And when you look at him, a lot of people want to put him 1 because he won 3 national championships. We don't count, Bo Shepard winning the championship in 1924, even though we were the champions, because there was no tournament. You got Frank McGuire's 1, and we'll get to the man at number 1 in a minute with 2. Roy Williams has got 3. But to me, Roy Williams could have won another one and still wouldn't be the greatest. He would have had to win about at least 5 or 6 championships to replace the number 1 man. And of course, the number 1 coach of all time for the North Carolina Tar Heels, no doubt, from 1961 to 1997 for a winning percentage of .776. 879 wins, which was most all time at the time when he retired. 254 losses. That's Dean Smith, folks. 1971 NIT champs. And that doesn't sound like a big deal. But remember, 71, you could have been the number 1 team in the nation undefeated. If you lost in your tournament championship game even, you didn't go to the big dance. So they won their 1971 NIT, which is very prestigious. 1982 national champions with Michael Jordan beating Georgetown. 1993 national championship. Of course, they had Eric Montross and Derek Phelps and those guys, and they beat Michigan. 11 Final Fours, folks. 1967, 68, 69. Very promising years. 1972, 1977, they lost to Marquette. 1982, 81 when they lost to Indiana. Of course, they won in 82. They lost in 91 to Kansas. Won in 93. In 95, I want to say, when they, I forgot who they lost to. And then in 97. 13 ACC tournament wins, folks. 67, 68, 69, 71, 72, 76, 77, 78, 79, 81, 82, 89, 91, 94, 97. A lot of numbers rattle off. And I won't even go through all these 17 ACC regular season championships starting in 67. And it took him a couple of years. The first couple of years, Dean Smith was hung in effigy in Chapel Hill because he wasn't Frank McGuire. And it took him, when he took over in 1961, it took him about 4 years. And thank God they had patience because it paid off in 67. But 17 ACC regular season championships starting in 67, going all the way up to 95. He was the 1993 NCAA Coach of the Year. He's 8-time ACC Coach of the Year, 67, 68, 71, 76, 77, 79, 88, and 93. And yes, Dean Smith will go down as the greatest North Carolina Tar Heels coach in the history of basketball. So folks, what do you think of today's video? Leave me some comments. Smash that like button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification to be notified of future content like this. And by all means, folks, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And we'll see you next time on another edition of Carolina Sports Guy.